true address. If this tree triplet is a new combination, the Mirapoint, instead of accepting the connection, we actually send back a challenge saying, please retry. Okay? So in the SMTP world, so actually Mirapoint is sending back a 400 range error, which is by SMTP RFC 2821. The 400 range error is a 10 fail error. So when the SMTP server sees a 10 fail error, they should follow the recommendation by the RFC saying put in a queue and retry it later. Okay? So for legitimate mail server, exchange server, send mail, so they all have this MailKin implementation. They will come in the interval and come back the second time to connect and see this IP from and to the same triplet. The second time I'll accept that and upgrade this triplet to be a permanent or active triplet. The third time, the fourth time I come in, they come straight in. So by using this kind of challenge mechanism to the sender, it turns a lot of spam get turned down. It's simply because they have to change the IP address, or they have or themselves don't implement a mail queue because mail queue is too expensive for a spammer to implement, or the bounces mechanism is just too expensive for the spammer to implement. And more importantly, they change IP address. They're hopping into different hotel, different ISP, and try to get IP address sent out before they can. And then they change IP address before they got listed in RBL. So in that case, mail holder becomes very efficient effective way to turn down a spammer. Okay, so and up to now, actually, all I talk about is about the sessions. If they make it through the sessions, it's about the content. For the content layer spam filtering, we are not doing the typical spam assessing way to scan mail, which is based on keywords. So a lot of cases, it's based on keyword. Like Jeff sent me an email containing words, with organ names. With organ's name, it get turned. I have to find a message in my junk mailbox. A lot of cases, this kind of false positive is just happens so often if it's based on keywords. And the Mirapoint, instead of using keyword space, we use a technology called Rapid, which is totally out of the keywords. It's actually picking different spot of the mail and generate a hash to represent the mail. And this hash is not try to collect from our install RazorGate boxes, say how many times we see it. We actually collect from the detection center we install at there's a major ISP in the world. So if the spam gets released, the same hash will show up in this ISP maybe in the 5 minutes times frame, and it hit it that way. So I have a statistic about that hash. When it arrives into my box, so I know how the first time detect and what kind of volume it is, and I know the speed of the hash. By knowing the speed, so I can basically categorize the spam, the mail as spam or bulk sending, which is like those promotion mail, like you had an airline sell a credit card, and then so the third category is more like I never seen that before because it's Jeff sending me. It never hit the major ISP in the world. So in this case, no matter how bad the content he wrote to me, it's going to be good email, right? There's no hash. So it's a series of feature inside the SMTP daemon server we have, and basically try to give you an end-to-end secure message environment. Okay, so is there anything I've done?
So I mean, the big idea here with this architecture is the ability, and some of my slides that try to convey it, is that you can take one of these appliances and do everything on it: email, and security, and a lot of like the customers that John's going to talk about are sort of SMB or K through 12 or smaller customers with just a few hundred users where one box provides everything. The other is breaking out these functional elements for mail and security and deploying them at different points in your network. And so all the security elements that Jeff talked about that are available on the RazorGate can be added to any Exchange environment to provide edge filtering and security. There's a question? There's two questions.
What's the chance of hash misidentification? How likely is it that a message can get mistaken for a known bad one?
We have a slide, don't we? We should pull that up.
Yeah, right. So
after the, I can't pull it up fast on this laptop. We have a slide actually on the statistical possibility of that, and it's pretty darn low. But we can show it to you after we're done.
Pretty darn low. We're works for me.
It's mathematical though, it's precise, so.
You know, emails, the spammer actually very smart in the sense of like fooling around the hash algorithm. They actually, so each spam they put one more character, one more line. So and sometimes like spam assessing always get fooled around by putting a lot of non-keyword kind of content, basically lower down the score. So for the hash thing, so the algorithm is actually patented technology. So I can give you a number, you can take a look at it. So it's basically so looking at different part of mail, so different line, like and then the hash is like a 50 lines of the ASCII, and that's basically if I have 90% of the match of the hash, that pretty much represent the same series of tag, and that basically will be calculated into the statistic, and then keep it on the detection center. And this hash speed collection is actually live, will be real time updated all the time. It can be a case that it means like a new breakout. This breakout come in, and then and this is brand new. It hits your domain first. In that case, that mail can sneak in. But so it's many cases that this mail go to the major ISP we are talking about. If they hit that and it got accumulated enough, maybe normally it's about 2 to 5 minutes we can see it is spam or not. And the next time it come in, so it got categorized as a spam and we got dropped. And this technology is not only applied to spam, but also for virus. For virus outbreak, so we call this a day zero or 0 hour attack. Is before this major antivirus vendor come up with a pattern file to recognize the virus. So during that windows, the rapid anti-spam technology turned out to be a very good day zero protections. It's simply because when outbreak comes up, like Philippines or somewhere in maybe Europe, so the detection center over there is already collect the statistic. When it hit the United States in the morning, so I have a statistic about how fast it has spread around the internet.
So that probe network and these detection centers are seeing about 100 million messages a day, and so there's a pretty good sort of I guess data collection model there to get these sort of statistics. There's another question.
Can I spoof a spammer with a non-existent user error message?
Spoof, didn't get it.
Spammer. So a guy sends me spam.
Okay.
And if I really don't exist, my machine sends a message back, non-existent user.
Yeah.
Okay? So can I look at a piece of spam and say, I want to tell that guy I don't exist?
So Mirapoint says yes, I've identified this as spam. And instead of, it's not like you guys just drop it,
So
you
we
don't
drop
respond.
we drop the connection. We don't send an error back, right?
We don't bounce user unknown message first of all. So basically, I have seen one case. I tell you that this live example. It just happens a week and a half ago. A well-known law firm basically gets bombarded with spam and basically try to order the common name and it hit in. So and the original mail server actually bounced back user unknown. It might be a typo, user unknown. But it turns out so many user unknown that the spam cop detected from this IP address. It's just so many bounce messages. They collect the IP address in the spam cop. So when this email sent a legitimate mail out, it got rejected in certain environment that take the spam cop recommendation. So in this case, the RazorGate actually was put in place, integrated with the Active Directory. So and then talk to all the possible address in the Active Directory, including the regular email address, or the proxy addresses, which is the aliases, and validate the incoming message. And the next time the message come in, instead of bouncing back user unknown, I just drop the session. I say no such mailbox unavailable, and that kind of error. And it's a 550 error, which is a permanent error. So when you see this thing, so SMTP will basically drop the session. So at the end, the end result is that if I by recognizing those incoming message, those IP address, keep sending with invalid recipient. Yes, the answer is yes. I can check it from the log file and pass it and get the IP address and put it into blacklist manually. There's one way to do that. So, it's more the more effective way it turns out to be like the mail header itself is actually sending back a challenge in that sense that if an IP address keep coming back with the same form, even if same or different form, if you're going to a tool, they will get charged anyway until certain time. So they will give up. They don't get queued. The message don't come in anyway. So
I think what a lot of people would really like to do is they would like to, in some cases, send back a message that says that recipient is not here when the recipient is really there, in the hope that the spammers will drop them off of their mailing list. The fact of the matter is that most spammers don't pay attention whether the message goes through. They just truck on through that list, and when they get done with that list, they go on to the next list, and they don't care if the message bounce messages are totally ignored.
That's precisely why the mail hurdle technology is working so well. Like, so RSA Security's using it, Volkswagen's using it, and they're stopping like 60 to 80% of those messages at the edge, at the connection layer, precisely for that reason.
yeah, exactly. So their business model is to send out as much as possible, and they get paid for it. So if tracking the bounces and put in mail queue and retrying, and that take time for them. So to implement to basically process all the mail, all the rest of the queue. So they basically mail hurdle actually turned out to be very effective. It's very simple mechanism really. So you send back a challenge is 400 range error. So a lot of sessions get turned down that way.
So are there any other questions? So the only